Good evening, and welcome to this Facebook Live event coming to you from the Nikolas School of the Environment at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, USA. I'm Jeffrey Vincent. I'm Stanback Dean of the Nikolas School of the Environment, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. I'm joined here by 3 first-year students in our Master of Environmental Management program here at the school, and you'll meet them in a moment. We're here to have a conversation about the importance of diversity and inclusion in the environmental field, an opportunity for students to get involved in diversity and inclusion activities at the Nikolas School. In the Nikolas School, we believe that all people should be engaged in the pursuit of environmental solutions because environmental issues affect us all. It's therefore essential that the school make every effort to attract students of diverse backgrounds, to ensure that we understand all aspects of these complex issues, that we don't let important environmental issues go unrecognized, and that we engage as many minds as possible in the search for solutions that are not only technically feasible, but also acceptable from social, cultural, and economic standpoints. We're fortunate to be located at Duke University, whose statement on diversity and inclusion says, in part, our collective success as a university depends on the robust exchange of ideas, an exchange that is best when a rich diversity of our perspectives, backgrounds, and experiences flourishes. To achieve this exchange, it is essential that all members of the community feel secure and welcome, that the contributions of all individuals are respected, and that all voices are heard. By its nature, diversity comes in all forms. In my case, it comes in the form of having been a first-generation college student. For me, higher education has made all the difference. It has enabled me to pursue a career that I never imagined as a kid growing up in rural Northwest Ohio. Now, as dean, I'd like to ensure that the educational opportunities that have benefited me so much are also available to all students who want to attend the Nikolas School. We're going to turn now to introductions to our 3 students. Gloria, would you like to begin?
Sure. I'm Gloria. I'm concentrating in environmental economics and policy. I'm interested in working in international development after I leave the Nikolas School, and here I am the new co-president of the Black and Latino Club.
Thanks, Gloria. Kristen?
All right, I'm Kristen McKinley. I'm in the environmental toxicology and environmental health concentration. My interest is in investigation and remediation of pollution, specifically from energy sources. My role in D&I at Duke, the Nikolas School, is being the current media officer and then the upcoming president for our Out in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics group for LGBT students.
Great. Thanks, Kristen. Okay, Taylor.
Hey everyone, I'm Taylor Price. I am studying environmental economics and policy here at the Nikolas School. So a lot of my coursework revolves around sustainable business and environmental policy. I want to either work in state or local government or the private sector after graduation, doing something in sustainability. Here at the Nikolas School, I am involved in our new student group called DICE, which was founded last August, and that stands for Diverse and Inclusive Community for the Environment. I also serve in Big Duke as the Nikolas School liaison for the Black Graduate and Professional Student Association.
Great. Well, thank you all again for joining us in this conversation. So why don't we start by talking about some of the opportunities that students have to be involved with diversity and inclusion at the Nikolas School. The 3 of you have all been heavily involved, and I think our audience would love to hear more about the activities that you've briefly alluded to already. So, who'd like to start?
I can. So here at the Nikolas School, the 3 of us are actually Nikolas Scholars, which is a new program that seeks to find students from diverse backgrounds and provide them with special financial aid and resources to make them students here at Duke, which is great. That was one big opportunity, I know, for all 3 of us. That was good. But there's so many different groups and ways to be involved. So particularly with DICE, which is a new student group that was founded in part by students and staff and faculty who all wanted a space to just talk about diversity and inclusion. That was a big forefront when I first got here, and so it made it really easy for me to join that club. It's good.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. I had thought DICE had so much momentum when we started that it was already an established club. It has been amazing. I guess I'm a representative of OSTEM, which is also just founded in fall of 2016. For us, though, there wasn't as much momentum, so we spent the last year just trying to get started and building up a membership base. Going forward, now that we are more established and we have a funding code, we hope to develop opportunities for professional development, mentorship, and then just general advocacy for any LGBT students. And of course, we're open to allies and hope that they join our community too.
So with the Black and Latino Club, we're a little bit older. We were founded in 2013, and we're a student group that has this space open for celebrating Black and Latino culture, and we're open to students, staff, and faculty within and outside the Nikolas School for anyone who wants to learn and enjoy Latino culture and Black culture. And we have professional development events for our students as well as social events to kind of engage everyone in ways that build awareness.
So you all are heavily involved in activities here in the school, but your organizations also connect to others on campus, and in some instances include students from the rest of campus. And you say a little bit about D&I activities at the Nikolas School in relation to broader Duke. What kind of is Duke a welcoming environment for your organizations? Do you have good connections to similar organizations on the rest of campus?
Yeah.
So particularly with the Graduate and Professional School Student Council, one of the things that they are doing this year in particular is having a diversity and inclusion for graduate students, and they're having a celebration next month actually, which is going to be called Our Duke Day, and that's where different graduate and professional student groups are all getting together to kind of share what they're doing at their respective schools, which is a good kind of way to get involved, because I think one of the big differences in graduate school from undergrad is that you can kind of be in a silo, and that NIC students are only kind of interacting with Nikolas School students and law students are interacting with law students, but finding the affinity groups that are related to our organizations at other professional schools is really helpful in getting to know people and connecting with Duke in general.
Yeah, I'd like to add on that we are also, I feel like you could definitely be in a silo, and OSTEM is not a specific group to NIC school. We're actually under the bigger Duke umbrella. We just have a heavily NIC school membership base. But since it's for all STEM students, we have membership from Pratt, the School of Engineering. We also have biomedical students, and then we're geared towards professional and graduate students. But we also have some staff of people who just work at Duke, and as part of our efforts, we've been coordinating with the undergraduate organization, Blue Devils United, for LGBT students. There's many resources at Duke for LGBT students, CSGD, the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, Duke Out, several other organizations for Pride. So that's kind of scattered, and we're working to make it easier to have a network to interact together.
I would agree. It's a little bit scattered. Like there's a Black and Latino club at the Nikolas School. There are Black and Latino student groups at Fuqua, at the law school, at the engineering school. But overall, the way funding works, you're actually encouraged to collaborate with other student groups. So overall, it's really easy to get involved.
Great, great. One group I'd like to note, as we've been talking a lot about the effort of students, is the Actionators, which is a staff and faculty group who are committed to building a more diverse and inclusive community here in the Nikolas School. They support and mentor student groups, but also do much more than that, plan and organize and implement many other diversity and inclusion activities. And one of the things I love at the Nikolas School is the collaboration we have among students, faculty, and staff with regard to these events. We're not just doing one thing with respect to diversity and inclusion. We're coming at this broad and very important issue from a number of different angles. One of my favorite recent examples of the collaboration among faculty, staff, and students was the visit by Mamie Parker, Dr. Mamie Parker, the first African-American Chief of Staff of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and first head of a regional office, who was just an amazing visit and inspirational talk, and that one kept me going for many days afterwards. And so, nice example of how faculty, staff, and students get together to plan and implement activities.
I think another cool event that a lot of student groups at the Nikolas School collaborated on last semester was the International Potluck, which was also a really cool event where everyone just brought different foods that they love from their childhood or from their respective cultures. And so DICE and Black and Latino Club and a lot of other student groups worked together, and it was just a good way for faculty, staff, and students to share about their culture, which was a really great way to learn more about people who you see every day, but you don't talk to them that deeply. So I think DICE is a good group to kind of fill those gaps and facilitate discussion about diversity and inclusion, and just learn more about each other on a non-surface level, which is good.
So I didn't mention before that you have the option to submit questions in the comment box, and so the lines are definitely open for sending questions in.
Well, I can start. So Jeff, could you tell us a little bit more about how people on staff and faculty are heading diversity and inclusion initiatives at the Nikolas School?
Yeah, so I mentioned already the Actionators, which is doing a wonderful job. But to add to that, this year the school's been undergoing a strategic planning process, and a central part of that is to look closely at diversity and inclusion within the school. And we formed a committee which did fantastic work, took an in-depth look at opportunities we have to make the school more diverse and inclusive, generating lots of ideas, some really great ideas around pipeline programs. So here we are, we're a school, we have undergraduate, master's, PhD programs. We want to attract more diverse students into those programs and have them feel that this is a welcome home for them. But we really need to work backwards from there. Starting in college isn't enough. How do we get younger folks, K through 12, interested in the environment so that they think about studying the environment when they come to college? And in particular, how do we reach those lower income communities and those communities of color? And so there are some activities we do already. We have an environmental summer school here. There are new activities we're planning with one of our new partners, the Park Institute of America. We have wonderful activities down at the Marine Lab. So opportunities for pipelining to draw more young people in the environment we're emphasizing our strategic plan. One of the most important things we're doing is fundraising for financial aid, and that's personally important to me for reasons I gave you earlier, being a first-generation college student. We want to make it possible for students from low-income households to attend the Nikolas School, and of course many of those low-income households include households that are households of underrepresented minorities. Last fall we announced an ambitious goal to raise $25 million for financial aid. We've raised several $1 million already. In fact, just last week we got out of the blue another $1 million check, and so we're pushing very hard on financial aid, and that's making a difference already. We've doubled our need-based aid offers for next year. We've also increased the number and the size of the offers that we're making for merit-based aid. And so we have some wonderful Nikolas Scholars around the table here now. There are more here at the school that you're not meeting tonight, and we hope to have many more coming in next year. There's a question from Katie. How is the Nikolas School working to support vulnerable students in this political climate? I could say some things about that, but I'd love to hear what you all think about this. You're students, and so I guess first of all, what's your reaction to this climate that we're in currently, and how are we doing in helping you feel comfortable in this situation?
I can start. A lot of Latinos are, and I'm sure immigrants from all over, are kind of concerned with this increased deportation and this increased scrutiny on the immigrants. And right after the election, we talked about it, and it was with DICE actually, and we talked about what our fears are and how we can move forward with this. And the first day back, we had this surprise, spur of the moment presentation with 2 faculty at the Nikolas School to kind of talk about how this happened and what the environmental field is going to look like in the future.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things and part of the mission of DICE is to facilitate these types of conversations. So we have a whole committee within our organization that focuses just on deeper discussion. So talking about current events, talking about a lot of things that are going on, whether that's women's issues or issues with immigrants and other things that are kind of we see in the media all the time. So there's definitely students here that are very politically active and want to make sure that everyone feels safe and included, and giving everyone a space to talk about that as well.
And I want to address the North Carolina political climate. If you don't know about, we have the HB2 bill, which has issues with transgender people in the bathroom and then just discrimination against LGBT in the workplace anyways. And at Admitted Students Weekend last year is like right after the bill came out, and Dean Townsend at the time, one of the first things he talked about was saying how Duke and particularly the Nikolas School does not support that bill, that we support students of every identity, and it just felt really good to hear that, and it's been echoed throughout faculty and staff and students through my entire experience here. Then you have things that are actually being done, like changing some bathrooms to gender-neutral bathrooms. I think Duke-wide has its own like non-discrimination against LGBT people work policy. So that too is like being addressed, and it's not. There's no reason to be apprehensive or scared about being here. You would be supported if you identify in that nature.
Yeah, I have to say probably my proudest day as dean was the day after the election, which was mentioned already, and the way the community spontaneously came together. And I think that's the best answer to how we help students feel more comfortable in this political environment. It's really creating that community, and it's here already. It started early in the morning, a message from a student to a few of us, and then some staff members jumped in, and some faculty, and later that same day there was an event which was just described here with a couple of our faculty members to have an open discussion about the election, what it means for the environment and for people of all types. And it was just a beautiful display by the community in coming together and addressing a very big event whose consequences we're still living with and will for some time. There's another question here. This is from Melissa. What about diversity regarding older students with more experience in the Nikolas School population?
I guess I'll take that as being an older student. I'm like 29 or something, and I've been out of school for 5 years before coming back. I think there's a good amount of students who've been out for at least 3 years, and I know there's several students who are definitely older than most people here. So there is that
None
diversity.
older than me, though, to my knowledge.
I'm just not. It's not. If you're looking for support, there's. I don't know if it's like actually something that's on anybody's radar. No one is being singled out because they're older and ostracized. You're just another student here. So I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at with that question, but just know that like you're welcome, and I don't see a.
And there's a lot of groups in Big Duke as well. So there's like a group for students with children, and students who are veterans, and all kinds of different things at Big Duke. So even if we don't have it at the Nikolas School, there's a lot of resources for students who are older or have different experiences instead of coming straight from undergrad.
Yes, what I try to do in my classes is take advantage of the experience that students have, and so I teach in the fall a course that's on forestry policy issues, and we discuss current issues, and I'll often have students in that class who have direct experience with those issues, and so I'll build the discussion around that, and the course is very much intended to encourage students to bring their discussion or their experience into the discussion. But some of the students who come straight out of college these days have quite a bit of experience as well. Students are much more hyperactive as college students than I was as a student, and much more accomplished coming out, and also many students have taken gap years, and so there's experience across the spectrum. But the students who have more work experience are really valued here, and we try to take advantage of that experience in the classroom in whatever ways we can. There's another question here. Why do you believe D&I has taken on a larger meaning or significance in the environmental profession? I guess there are a couple ways we can interpret this question. One is in the space of the last few months, and I think the reason there is the political changes. And so what I've seen is a strong outpouring of support for action on the environment and on the environment across a range of different areas in response to what's happening politically. But I think this is probably also getting at a kind of longer trend, why there's more concern about D&I in the environmental profession. Again, I have thoughts on this, but any of you have ideas on this one?
I can start. I think I'm part of a group of students at the Nikolas School that have been interested in environmental justice, and if anyone's not familiar with that, that's this historic trend that generally environmental disasters, things like spills or leaks, those things generally, they disproportionately affect marginalized groups. So from that respect, having diversity and inclusion in the environmental field is important so that we can really hear from the people who are most affected and include them and help them as much as we can.
And I think going along with that, the environment is something that affects everyone, and you're a part of the environment, whether you take an active role or a passive role. So I think having a lot of diverse opinions, just like there's diverse opinions in other fields, opinions, viewpoints, ways of thinking are going to make the environmental profession a lot more just diverse and new ideas, new talent, new people as the field progresses in the future.
Yeah, I think what also plays in here is that the fact that issues that affect groups that are more powerful, for want of a better word, tend to be the issues that get addressed first. And so we've dealt with a number of environmental issues that affect folks who are more affluent in society. And it's not that those issues have gone completely away, but we haven't paid as much attention to the issues that affect people who are less powerful in political terms. And so I think those have become relatively more important now, and we've neglected them for too long, and finally we're starting to see some action on those issues. Okay, got another question here in a somewhat smaller font. It says, in what ways have students been able to develop professional skills and leadership in terms of diversity and inclusion advocacy at the Nikolas School? Okay, so I guess going beyond just what kind of activities do we have, but we're a professional school, and so the goal is that you not only gain knowledge in a subject area, learn the theory, learn the methods, but also you pick up those professional skills. So when you leave here, you'll be successful in applying what you've learned. So if you have thoughts on this one, the ways that your activities, either the groups you're associated with or what you do in classes connected to D&I is enabled you to develop the advocacy skills.
Yeah, one of the jokes that we have with the DICE Executive Board is, since DICE stands for Diverse and Inclusive Community for the Environment, the joke is that everyone's a member, so we're like the biggest student club because everyone's a member, because you just go to the Nikolas School, so you're in a diverse and inclusive community for the environment. So that means working with students and staff like in your classes and addressing issues related to diversity and inclusion, even if it's in a class like statistics or economics where you don't think that diversity and inclusion necessarily is in the curriculum. And also making sure that student groups and organizations have those networking events and engaging with faculty and speakers and getting those professional skills through client projects as well, which is a great way to get leadership. And I think everyone in our school takes active roles and no one is very passive, so being motivated by your peers is really good as well.
I'm gonna say that, like, besides just your kind of general leadership role, being a president of a club or being a communications officer, my favorite event that's been put on was by DICE, in which they had an outside organization come in, and they were also called DICE, and it was a half-day event on a Saturday at 8 in the morning, but there's like 30 people there, like students really excited to learn. And so it wasn't just a deeper discussion about diversity and inclusion issues. It was actually, the way they had it set up was that they were leading you through activities and training you at the same time on how to do your own workshop, and to how afterwards you'll be able to be independent and train other people and have such workshops, which I thought was like really cool. It gave me some tools that I plan to use in OSTEM next year.
You know, one thing to mention here, getting back to the issue of environmental justice and serving underserved communities, is we have a wonderful certificate program here in community-based environmental management, which connects directly with communities in and around this area. And you know, that's a great opportunity to develop those professional skills, because you know, it's not just in the classroom. You're out there working with communities, trying to make environmental change happen. And so we have many opportunities like that. I see there's another question up here, and we'll have to be really quick on this, as I know we're running out of time. So in what ways have you applied or will apply your knowledge of D&I to coursework, internships, or past work experiences?
Well, I'm going to be an environmental justice intern at the North Carolina Conservation Network this summer, and it was really not that difficult to get, having all my background experience in this field.
I think related to coursework, even though I am not taking the class this semester, there's the Environmental Law and Policy Clinic, and it's filled with students that are half in the law school and half in the Nikolas School, and they usually delve into issues that focus on environmental justice or very relevant issues. They work on court cases that are happening now, so I'm hoping to get involved with that next semester.
Kristen, anything to add?
Currently, for my assistantship here, I'm working on the water quality issues affecting residents who live near coal ash ponds, so very rural and poor residents who have been kind of churning around in the environment. I'm helping them get some answers to their water, which I think is really cool.
Great. Well, we are at time. I'd like to thank all of you online who have joined us for joining us. I hope you found this session to be informative. If you'd like to learn more about diversity and inclusion at the Nikolas School, please visit our website. You can go to the Why Duke Environment website page, Google Why Duke Environment. Lots of great information there. The address, if you don't want to Google it, nicholas.duke.edu/whydukeenvironment. I'd like to thank Gloria, Kristen, and Taylor for joining me in this conversation. We wish you all a wonderful remainder of the evening. So thank you again. Bye.